It is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving here in the US, and the finalist for the Goodreads Choice Awards has come out. And with only 5 days to get votes in for who you choose for the finalist before the voting closes, and 10 books on the list, it's not really going to be realistic that I can get through all the books before my vote has to be in. So I did decide, after much deliberation, instead of looking at the individual books, I looked at the authors on the list. And out of the 10 authors on the list, I have read 6. Decided to go through and see what I ranked the books from the authors that I've previously read. And then I will read books from the remaining 4 authors over the next 5 days. So I've read something from everyone on the list except for 4: Frida McFadden, Jesse Sutanto, Richard Osman, and Holly Jackson. So of the 4 I haven't read, I already have 3 books from them. I have the Holly Jackson Not Quite Dead Yet, which is the nominee, so I will be reading that. I have to read in series order, so I have the first Vera Wong book, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers from Jesse Sutanto, and I have the first in the Thursday Murder Club books, The Thursday Murder Club from Richard Osman, which I'll be reading. I do not have the Frida McFadden. Now, I have some Frida McFadden books, but because her books, for the most part, except for the Housemaid series, because the one that is nominated in the finals, The Tenant, is a standalone thriller, I'm just going to run out and go grab The Tenant, and have to make a library return anyway, so we're going to go do that, return a library book, go to the used bookstore and look for The Tenant, and then we will start reading these 4. I will also take you through the breakdown of what I have ranked the other authors that I've read before and where they fall. And so then we'll see how these 4 come in, and we'll decide who I'm going to cast my vote for. So let's go to the library and the bookstore. Okay, we're going to go through my rankings of the top 10, and I need to have my glasses on for this so I can see what my rankings are. And I'm going to give you a little graph to show you the authors I've already read, what the scores are for them, and then that'll take us to what I have left to read. And then I have updates because I've already finished one of the books, and I'm almost done with this next one. So first off is Lisa Jewell, Don't Let Him In. And the previous book that I read from Lisa Jewell was a book that I really liked, None of This Is True, which was one of my high strength books in 2023 when I read it, and I gave it a 4.5. So the next book is Karen Slaughter, We Are All Guilty Here. And honestly, I've only read one Karen Slaughter book and I did not like it. So I read Blindsided back in 2004, and I have not picked up another Karen Slaughter book in over 20 years. I gave that a 1.3 at that time. So I'm very, very hesitant to read the Karen Slaughter. And even though a lot of people love it, a lot of people love her, obviously she's been writing for decades now, that's at the bottom of the list for me. Next is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney, and I read Good Bad Girl last year, thought it was okay, and gave it a 4.2 at the time. So although it's ranking well, it still doesn't beat the Lisa Jewell, so I won't be voting for Alice Feeney. Next one on the list is Geneva Rose, The Perfect Divorce. I did read The Perfect Marriage this year, and I gave it a 3.25. I did talk about this in a reading vlog, which I can link. I picked up The Perfect Marriage because I went to a conference in Scottsdale early this year, and Geneva Rose was there. She was one of the authors who was going to be speaking. I love her personality. I love her on Instagram, and I tried to read something from all of the authors who were in attendance. Now, I did read Home is Where the Bodies Are at the time of that conference, and I really liked that book. I gave it a 4.7, and I know a lot of people didn't like that book, but I did. So if you take the average of The Perfect Marriage and Home is Where the Bodies Are, you get 3.975. So she's not at the bottom of the list, but she's still further down than Lisa Jewell, who's still at the top. So I will not be voting for The Perfect Divorce. Next up is Dan Brown and The Secret of Secrets. Now, I've only read 2 Dan Browns in the past. I thought I had read the whole series prior to this, so I was really shocked, and I've been taking my analog reading journal, reading log that I started keeping in 2001, and I've been transferring it into a spreadsheet, and doing this video has really forced me to get that project finished. So I was super, super surprised that I've only read 2. I did give Angels and Demons a 3.6 and The Da Vinci Code a 4 when I read it, and I read both of them back in 2004, so the same time that I read the Karen Slaughter. And over 20 years ago, it's crazy that it's been that long since I read something that I actually liked, and I never continued with this series. But with an average rating of 3.8, I won't be voting for Dan Brown. Finally, of the authors and the finalists that I have read is S.A. Cosby. I did read All the Sinners Bleed, which was, a hugely successful book last year in last year's awards, and I did read it last year. I only gave All the Sinners Bleed a 3.5. I remember at the time thinking that it was very graphic. It wasn't my type of book, but I did give it a 3.5 because it was not your standard fare. So again, with my prior ranking of a book by S.A. Cosby, I won't be voting for him in this round. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with 4 authors who I have not read before, who I would like to read in order to be able to rank them with everything else that I've read. So I have actually started all 4 books, and I have finished one of them. So first up is one that I have actually been dreading reading, which is Frida McFadden, and this is The Tenant. Now I am 128 pages into this book, and I'm absolutely hating it. Now, sometimes when an author is super hyped and super popular, I call it, for me, and this is just for me, the James Patterson factor. Like, remember when everybody was reading James Patterson and he was always at the top of the bestseller list, and he still is. And they were making movies out of his books, like they are for Freida McFadden. And she may be a wonderful person. I see interviews with her and she seems great. But it's just that fast fiction that doesn't do anything for me. And so far, 128 pages into this book, this is that. We have a main character who is horrible, and I don't really know what's going on here. He's got a bad tenant. Okay. Like, are we going somewhere with this? What's the point? I don't think there is one. It's just a bad guy and a bad tenant. So, okay. At least there's only one of her books in the finals. That's all I can say. But I'm going to try to finish it, but it's definitely not going to be my vote. I can tell you that already. Next up is Holly Jackson, Not Quite Dead Yet. I was really shocked that I have not read Holly Jackson with The Good Girl's Guide to Murder and everything else that she's published. I had never read Holly Jackson, and I was really shocked at that. So I have finished this already, and I did quite like it. We have our main character, Jet, who has moved home. She's dropped out of school, she's moved home, and she's going through that painful period where she's been out on her own and she's been independent, but now she's back with her parents, and her mom is kind of a piece of work. Not kind of, her mom is a piece of work. And right off the bat, they are at a Halloween festival. She goes home. Somebody is in the house and seems to be waiting for her and hits her over the head, which results in her having a traumatic injury that is going to kill her in a week. And she is determined to find out who has killed her. I liked the premise. I liked the way that she worked through everything. However, I did give this a 3.85, so I won't be voting for it. And my reasons for giving it that low of a score are, it's very much, I'm not like other girls. And I know a lot of people have said that they don't like Jet. I didn't really like Jet either. She grew on me, but although her mom is a piece of work, Jet is a piece of work as well. There is a long-suffering romantic relationship that just was not realistic to me. And a lot of things, a lot of her decisions, why she's even back at home, just didn't add up to me. So yeah, 3.85, so I won't be voting for the Holly Jackson. So that leaves me with the two books that have to beat Lisa Jewell for me not to vote for Lisa Jewell. That is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, which is not the nominated book, but is the first book in the series. So therefore, this is the one I have to read. And Richard Osman, The Thursday Murder Club, which again is not the book nominated, but this is the first in the book. And it's been sitting on my shelf for a few years, and I'm finally getting around to reading it. I am almost done with the Vera Wong, so we're going to read that and finish this up. And then I'm going to try to finish the Richard Osman because, again, these are the only two that have the opportunity to knock Lisa Jewell off of my vote. And so we'll see where we go from here. I am like 20 pages away from finishing Vera Wang. I don't think it will spoil it to say that I haven't decided what I'm going to give it yet, but I'm really surprised. There are some things about this book, although I usually love a found family, having characters that are more mature and then having younger characters who they are interacting with and sharing their life lessons with, etc. There is so much of that in this, and I love that. However, very early in the book, we find out that Vera is only 60 years old, and 60 is not old. Vera is written as though she is in her 70s, 80s, if not 80s, and she is literally just 60 years old. And for the way that Vera is acting, or the way that she is depicted, it's almost a little bit offensive. So I am struggling with that quite a bit. The other thing that's not realistic, there is a 2-year-old in this book who is not acting like a 2-year-old. That is throwing me out of it as well. And I had to go back and check. And yes, she mentions multiple times that this is a 2-year-old. And this is a 2-year-old who's a 6-year-old. So I have problems with that as well. And are those things enough to make me score it less than a 4.6? I don't know. I do know that I don't have a clue who our murderer is, and I'm 20 pages from the end. So I have an idea, I have an inkling, but I'm not sure. And if it is who I think it is going to be one of those things that I really dislike in mysteries and cozy mysteries, but we'll see if I'm right. As far as the Richard Osman, everything that I just said about characters of different ages interacting holds true. Richard Osman's characters are in their 70s and 80s, and they are acting like 70 and 80-year-olds who are not letting their age eliminate them from living life. They are out there, they are vibrant, they are doing the things, and they are not acting like the 60-year-old Vera Wang acts. So I love that. I love the cops they're interacting with. The main character, one of the main characters, Ron, has a son who is a reoccurring character who I enjoy, and I love the setup. I would definitely want to live in the type of place that they're all living in, this retirement community. I think it's amazing. Wish I could find one of those here in the United States. And I'm really liking everything about this book. And I think this may be my contender to knock Lisa Jewell off my ranking, and this may be getting my vote. So I will check back in with you after I finish these two, because there's no way Frida's going to get my vote, so I don't even care if I finish that one. All right, I finished Vera Wang. I do not have it with me, so we're just going to go with it because I don't feel like going downstairs to go grab it for just a quick update. I definitely liked it. I ended up giving it a 4.1. It did definitely go in the direction that I thought it was going to go. So there were no surprises, and it was just okay if we look at it from the perspective of an amateur sleuth solving a mystery. But ultimately, I don't think that was the point of this book. It was definitely the found family and helping this woman get back to feeling empowered about her life and away from feeling like she was aging by herself in a vacuum. So really giving her another chance in bringing people into her life and allowing her to show her value and that she still has value to the community. So from that perspective, I did really enjoy it. Again, I do think that she's written a lot older than she is her numerical age within the book, so I didn't really like that. Again, the child is not written age appropriately either. So on both ends of the spectrum, that really knocked me out of it. I did like the cast of characters. I hope they're back for the next one. Again, I am judging who I would vote for based upon this first book and not the book that's actually nominated. But in the long run, I think a lot of people just vote for things in these awards based on name recognition. So at least I'm going off of what I feel about the author's writing. So with a 4.1, I will not be voting for the Vera Wong. It still has not knocked Lisa Jewell off of the top of my hierarchy. So again, I've not finished the Frida McFadden. I don't care if I do finish the Frida McFadden. This isn't absolutely amazing for me that I may have a DNF because I never DNF, but I really am I'm reading maybe 10 pages a day of this book and I have no desire to go beyond that. It's not something that I'm enjoying or liking. I don't find it to be very thrillery. I think the characters are obnoxious, and yeah, if I don't finish it, that's fine because it would never get my vote. So the only thing I have left is the Richard Osman, and I really think that it may be getting my vote. I'm really liking it. I have, I think, maybe 20 pages left to go at this point, and yeah, I'm really, really liking it. So I will come back to you when I finish that, and we'll wrap up the video at that point. Okay, while the dogs entertain themselves, I'm here to say that, and Poppy is back there spying on us. I'm here to say that I finished the Thursday Murder Club. Final verdict, yes, Richard Osman is coming out on top. I did give the Thursday Murder Club a 4.6, so that puts him at the top of the ranking, and he has gotten my vote. I've already voted, and I did it in the nick of time, and so that is it for me and what I decided to vote for the Goodreads Choice Award. By the time you see this, the award will already have been given, and you will know who the winner is. But thank you for coming along on this journey with me as I read these books. And no, I did not finish the Frida McFadden. Just could not do it. So I guess, I will probably feel compelled to do it, to finish it eventually, so that it will just be a soft DNF for now. But I knew I would never vote for it. So that is it for this video. Thanks again for coming along, and tell your pets I said hi, and I will see you next time.